You are about to listen to a brand new episode of the Foreign Lady Podcast. I hope you enjoy. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and also support wherever you listen to your podcast. Now, let's get to the episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Foreign Lady Podcast. I'm your host, Liz.
And the bottom line.
And we are back with another episode. So, how are you doing? How are things? How's everything?
I tell people the same thing. It's just adulting.
Yeah.
Just being an adult and dealing with that. You gotta take the punches as they come. Although I'll hit back.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adulting be adulting. Adulting be adulting. Yeah. It's been a couple of months for a lot of people, myself included, just with life and things happening and, it'd be like that. I feel like being an adult now has just gotten so much harder. I don't know if it was like this for like our parents or our grandparents, but I just feel like, especially like in our generation, it's just gotten so difficult. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of just like our society and things we're going through or, but I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, I think honestly it's just the same. It's never changed as far as parenting, as far as being an adult. I will say, like, if you look at the numbers, the standard of living is not matching the income. Like back in the 80s and 70s or whatever, you could get a decent life with just a high school degree. You could buy a house a lot sooner, that kind of thing. Now, like, the income is just not matching the standard of living, and that's what's making it hard for a lot of people. People are like, staying home longer than they would have back then. It's crazy in that sense.
Yeah, I was actually watching this like MSNBC like little documentaries that they do. And they were talking about, is college even like worth it anymore? And the folks that are going to college and are graduating, is the job market is so much more difficult for them. Like newly graduates are not getting job opportunities. Like it's taking them, months and months and months to get jobs. Sometimes some of them don't even get jobs. And like you were saying, some of them have to move back in with their parents. And like it's just, the job market is not what it used to be. The degree that you have now is not like taking you where, like, you need to have like a master's and a doctorate just to break, just to make a little bit of a living. Like your bachelor's degree is like not enough, and even with the master's is like there are plenty of people out there who have master's degree, who have higher degrees, and they're still not making nearly enough. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just really, really. I don't know who to blame.
Oh man,
I feel like
I know it's
somebody to
somebody.
blame, but I don't know who to
There's
blame.
somebody out there we could blame.
Right. I'm like, I don't know who, but it's somebody. All right. Well, let's move on. We can talk about this. Like this could be like its own topic in itself, but we got things to talk about today. All right. So on today's episode, we are going to be talking about your favorite person, Meghan Kelly.
My favorite person. I never brought her up, but go ahead.
Your favorite person, Meghan Kelly, and her wild comments about Jeffrey Epstein and just justifying this man's behavior. Crazy. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, like, should 18 be considered legal? Because there's been just so many conversations like online about, just because you turn 18, does that officially make you an adult? It's just a couple months from being 17 to 18, and now you go from that, and now all of a sudden you're expected to make all these like legal decisions and things like that. So you have some parents kicking their kids out at 18 and saying, well, as soon as you turn 18, you're out on your own, which I feel like it still happens, but maybe not nearly as maybe before, or maybe I'm just naive, I don't know, but we'll get into that. And then also we're going to talk about these videos that have been popping up on social media about, Black women who are in labor and they're getting not the best treatment. And we already know that, mortality, the birth rate for Black women especially are high. The mortality rate are high for them. And just seeing these videos pop up with women in active labor getting kicked out of the hospital and nurses just like not doing anything is very disturbing. So we're going to get into all of that stuff. Yeah. So let's get into it. All right. Meghan Kelly. So I'm sure.
Go ahead. I'll let you.
Let me set it up for the people. Let me set it up for the people. So this crazy woman who I think she needs to get her show taken off. I'm surprised YouTube did not kick her off the channel, off the platform, because her comments were wild. What she said about Michelle, I was like, you know what? That should have gotten her show taken away, because you don't talk about Michelle like that. But this is just out of left field. She went on her show and she was trying to justify that he wasn't really a like his action, like he just liked them on the young side, but he wasn't really there's a difference between an 8-year-old and a 14-year-old. Like 14, 15, 16-year-olds are not really considered kids. It's not like he was having relations with 8-year-olds or 5-year-olds. So there's a big difference. And the person that she was with was also talking out of her mouth like, yeah, it's not really that bad. It's not, like you don't hear you didn't hear anybody coming out and saying like he treated them or anything like that. They had it good. Like it's not like he was with 5 or 6-year-olds. He was just with 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds, and I'm sitting there like, are these women really sitting here justifying the ages and trying to say like 15 and 14 and 16 and 17-year-olds are not kids? They're kids. They're children. Like, what are your thoughts on this? This shit is crazy. I don't even know. Like, when I heard it, my blood was boiling, because I was like, this is the shit I be talking about. And Meghan Kelly has a 14-year-old daughter. So I'm like, are you going to allow your 14-year-old daughter to be with a Jeffrey Epstein? Because clearly it's not that bad. Like, the trying to justify is disgusting. It is disgusting, and she needs to go away. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, my first thought was that she's trying to protect somebody. Like she knows something about somebody who's involved, and they're clearly guilty. There's clearly a mountain of evidence against this person, and she's trying to soften it in comparison that if we take whatever Epstein did, well, it wasn't so bad.
Right.
That way, when this other person is exposed, it again doesn't sound so bad in comparison, whatever they did, whatever their involvement was. So I think she's trying to protect somebody. And this only makes sense if you're trying to protect somebody. And you probably feel like you're going to go down with them. Like, when they go down, you go down too. And as far as whether she would let her daughter do something like this, I believe it. It wouldn't shock me. Some of these people in the upper echelons of society, yeah, I definitely believe that you will, put your children in harm's way if it helps solidify your career or put money in your pockets. You're very much.
That's just, it's gross to me. I've made no qualms about it. Like, there's certain crimes that you could do in this life that I'm like, lock away, throw away the key. You should never be forgiven. There's a section in hell for you. Abusing children is one of those crimes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how, from 0 to 17, you like, it's all the same. It's all the same. And for her to try and justify that is like, there are just no words for that. And the fact that this woman has a daughter and she's talking like this, it's just, I'm disgusted by her. Like, I feel like she just needs to go away. Her platform needs to be taken down. And I'm really shocked that they have not taken it down. Like, I'm really surprised that they're still allowing her to come on here and spew this kind of crap.
I mean, like, her obsession with Michelle, it is absurd.
It's absurd.
Like, how can you be so triggered by a woman who's not even who has been in the office since what, like almost now 10 years ago?
Almost 10 years ago.
Why does what she say still bother you? But like we said in the previous episode, you hate the fact that when Michelle speaks, the world listens. Enough of the world listens that if Michelle speaks, she can have influence or sway a vote in a particular direction. And that bothers you. It bothers you that here is a Black woman with power and influence, that Michelle can say the smallest thing and people will still listen. She can talk about her hair. People will still listen.
For those of you who don't know, let me just give context to that. For those of you who don't know, Michelle Obama wrote a book about, it's kind of, I feel like it's like a picture book, and just kind of going through like her fashion while she was in the White House and things like that. And the topic of her hair came up. And Michelle said that she purposely did not wear braids on her hair for the 8 years that she was in office, because she didn't want people like Meghan Kelly to have something else to talk about. You know, she
Mm-hmm.
really wanted, but she purposely wore her braids in to go into the White House, and I believe she wore them out too, but she
Yeah.
never like wore them in the 8 years that she was there. And of course, you know, Meghan Kelly started talking shit about Michelle and how no one cares about Michelle and how Michelle's always playing a victim and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, why is Michelle living rent free in your head? Like, why are you just so bitter? Like, she just seems like a bitter Betty. Like, why are you bitter? Like, are you jealous of Michelle? Are you are you jealous of her life? Like, is your life really that miserable that you are talking about Michelle and you're justifying what is going on with your life that you are out here acting like a damn fool? That's my question, but continue.
Yeah, like I think we spent enough time on Meghan Kelly. I don't know if has Michelle ever responded to her?
Michelle don't got time for her.
Exactly, because I'm like, I can't think of a moment where Michelle has responded. I think that Meghan Kelly is too small on her radar to even acknowledge.
I think she's trying to stay relevant. And this is my theory. I think she's trying to stay relevant and she says things to shock people, right? Because we're over here talking about her. The internet was talking about this with her latest comment. But like I don't need attention enough. I don't need attention that bad to sit there and justify a pedophile.
Yeah.
I don't need attention that bad. And the fact that you will actually get on your platform and say to the world and say to people that it is okay for a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old to be assaulted because they're not children is absurd to me. And you know what? There's a special place in hell for you too, because that is crazy to me. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. We've given her enough airtime because I don't respect people like that. And I cannot respect people like that.
And I'll say one last thing, like when people like Meghan Kelly go out their way to try to soften the Epstein situation, it lets me know that something's coming out and it's coming out big, and you're trying to do damage control. That's all it looks like to
me. Yeah, and she's like, yeah, I know somebody who was you might be right with the protection thing, because she said, you know, she knows somebody who's really close to the situation and they told her that it's not that bad and it's not as bad as it, and none of the kids were under the age of 14. And I'm like, are you listening to what you're saying right now?
Mind you, when they took a vote about releasing the Epstein files, and I think it was like 475.
It was one
everybody
person.
But one person.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Meghan Kelly, I assume you could read the room and you're still trying to defend this person. It's like you somebody must be paying you off. Like you must have something to do with this, that you would put your reputation on the line for this, because it's one of the few times, if I'm not mistaken, where both sides of the party were in agreement. Like, no, we need to find out what's going on.
Thank you.
We want to know the truth.
So I'm like, if that's the case, then they should release everybody that are in prison for assaulting 14, 15, 16-year-olds, since technically it's not a crime in her book. You just be letting people, am I not right? Like, we should just be letting people out here do whatever they want. 14, 15, 16-year-old is not a crime. So why are there people in jail for that?
My goodness.
So anyway, let's move on. Speaking of moving on, in the same vein, I saw a video about, I think it was a comedian, Miss Pat. Do you know her last name? I just know her as Miss Pat. She was specifically talking about the Black community and how when children in the community turn 18, they're sort of left to their own pasture, and their parents are like, well, you're 18 now, you got to get out of my house, you got to go get a job, you got to go pay some bills, you got to do this. And I don't know about you and how it is in your culture, but we're not doing that in African culture. We're not kicking our kids out when they're 18, unless it's like you're going away to school, or you're going away to school. But even after you finish school, it's like you come back home, you stay, like many of us stay with our parents until we are able to get a job or we're financially secure or whatever it is. So this whole idea of like kicking your kids out when they're 18, do you agree that it's more of like an American thing? And like, because I don't really know any other culture that really does it besides American.
Yeah, it might be a Western thing, because,
or I should say Western thing. Yeah,
I do think that you should give your kids a countdown.
You do?
Yeah, because it's important that they get out on their own. Like, do I think you should kick them out directly at 18 when you didn't teach them how to fend for themselves? Like, there's got to be certain things checked off before you kick them out. Like, I believe like a good age to start saying, hey, you got to go is 24. You know, you turned 18. I'll tell my kids, you're 18 now. You got 6 years. And in those 6 years, I'll guide you on the concept of paying bills, investing, saving. You know, by the time you leave, I want you to be comfortable with those things. I'll have it so that they're paying utilities or they're paying, like, I want them to get used to the idea that if they have a job, a portion automatically goes towards paying bills. You're already used to that. And and you learn how to save the rest for whatever need might come up. And I think during those 6 years, that's enough time, especially when you're 18, when you don't have any bad credit.
Right.
That's 6 years to save up for a house.
Right.
So that by the time you got 24, you could have your own home, your own property. That's 6 years where you could save up for college if you want to go that route. Like, I think by the time the kids leave the house, did you prepare them to live in the outside world?
Right.
And that to me is the most important thing.
I agree with you. I think we should give our kids some grace. You say 24, I think that's a perfect age. I was going to say more 25, but I think 24, 25, around that age, I think that's a good age. I don't think 18-year-old is formed at all. Like, I start thinking about, my kid, right, 17, and I'm thinking about, in a couple months from now, he's going to be considered legal age. And I'm like, he's still the same punk little kid that he was a few months ago. Nothing has changed, right? It's not like, oh, you get on the other side and you're a bit more mature or whatever. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, I remember when I was 18, from 17 to 18, I'm like, nothing changed. I was still that bratty little child I was at 18. Things are different. There are some people that are a little bit more mature maybe when they're around that age. I even think about, like, just kids making mistake at that age, right? It's like they make mistakes, they do stupid things, and then they get treated as adults, they get tried as adults, they get sent to adult jails, adult prisons because of a number. And it's like their brain are not fully formed yet. They're still growing, they're still developing, they're still going to make mistakes, and we just sort of kick them out and treat them out. And because we place a number on it, it's like, all right, well, all of a sudden you're not responsible. You're now responsible for your whole life at 18. And I've just always never understood that whole concept of it. And yeah, I think we do need to, give our kids grace. And I don't think we agree on much, but I definitely agree with you that yes, you need to help them, with banking information. I'm still helping my kid with his banking information and how to get a driver's license and how to, eventually try to pay taxes. And it's like, you have to teach them that. You have to teach them how to do things like that because they don't know how to. And so we have to be able to give them a little bit of grace and say, okay, this is the plan that we have, right? Once you turn 18, either you're going to stay in school or usually at that time they're already graduating, was it high school? So you're graduating high school, so you're going to figure it out. You're going into college, or you're going to go get a job, or you're going to try to start a bit, like whatever it is that you want to do. We have a plan that I will support you until you get to a certain age, and then you got to be on your own. And that's my plan.
I wouldn't even want my kids to go to college immediately.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to teach them how to be an adult. I think, like, you don't know what an adult is until you actually graduate. And you have no job, and those student loans start to kick in, and suddenly you're overwhelmed with the reality. Like, this is where life catches up with you. That's why I think, like, if my kid does want to go to school right after high school, I'll say, hey, man, just go part-time. Take 1 or 2 classes a semester. But I want you to have a job and know what it's like to probably make minimum wage and try to make ends meet. I want that to be like a motivation for you to be like, no, I don't want to stay here. I want to be here by the time I'm 24. And again, like, I think like what I'll do is I'll collect rent. I would save it for my child. Like, hey, at the end of this 6 years, this is all that you gave me. If I want to, I might change my mind and go on vacation.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, like I want to teach you like real world lessons. Maybe I might I might give you a portion of it, save the rest to go on vacation, that kind of thing. But the main lesson is like, I need you to learn what it's like to be responsible for yourself. Because by the time 18, it might seem overwhelming to pay those bills. But by the time you're 24, no, you're used to it. You're used to the
Right.
concept of paying bills, take care of things. And by the time you leave the house, it's nothing new.
No, I agree. I think I'm going to adopt that same philosophy, like my kid has a job now. I'm thinking about like putting some things in place of now you have a part-time job. What does that look like with you paying if it's, a phone bill, or if he's in college now and he's talking about, wanting to live off campus with his friends. And I'm like, okay, what does that look like?
Yeah.
So I think slowly teaching them responsibility is great because it prepares them for the real world. And that's what we want. We want them to be functioning adults, but we want to be able to prepare them. I think that's the key word, is preparation, right? We want to be able to prepare them to get out there and know what it's like to grind and know what it's like to hustle and, like you said, work minimum wage and still try to pay rent and pay this and pay that. And but then on the other hand, I'm like, man, like I want to be able to help and support before he has to get to that point of work, pay rent, work, pay rent. Like I want him to be able to enjoy his life a little bit before he has to be like an adult and have all these responsibilities. Because once you get there, that's it. There's no going back. So it's like, where's that line of trying to still be a kid but growing into an adult?
I think there's nothing more enjoyable than like security, right? I think there's nothing
Yeah.
more enjoyable than, knowing that if something happens, you're ready for it. Like
Right.
where everybody else is stressed out about having to make ends meet, you're not. You're
Yeah.
never you're never in a place of worry. Like if you want to take a vacation today, you can. You can take a couple weeks off. You can. You
Right.
got other people out here like, they can't go on vacation right now. Things are
Right.
too tight. I don't want to live that life.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right. Well, everything in life is about balance. I think parents out there should definitely, support their kids in the way that they can, and prepare them for what life has to offer. Because they get out there and they get smacked by life a lot. They will
Yeah.
get smacked, and but having the tools to be able to combat that, and like you said, have security and be able to take, like, look, I just need you to take care of yourself. If you can take care of yourself, that is all I want for you. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about trying to take care of me, or maybe in my old age. But for now, worry about supporting yourself, eventually supporting your family, if that's the line, if that's where you eventually want to go. Hopefully that's where you want to go, but you never know with these kids these days. But as long as you are able to support yourself and you have a good life for yourself, I think that's every parent's like dream. So all right, let's move on to, like, these stories are just getting, I feel like, just like I'm really trying to be optimistic about life, but sometimes it'd be hard. Like when you just go on the internet and you're like, you see videos like these, it's just like, man. So I saw two different videos. There's the woman that was sitting in an ER. She was in active labor, sitting in a wheelchair in the ER, and the nurse that was attending to her did not pay her no mind. This woman was screaming for her life, and this nurse just paid her no attention and then sent her on her merry way, sent her home, told her to come back when she's really in pain. And 8 minutes into the car ride home, the woman had her baby in the car on the side of the road. We hear this all the time about, the birth rate mortality, especially for women of color. And we hear this all the time about this myth about people of color having higher pain tolerance or not being believed when they're in pain, when they go to the hospital, or thinking that they're making it up and their pain is not really what it is. The woman is in active labor, about to give birth, and you're sending her home and saying that what she's feeling, she's not feeling. Now, I know you're a guy and you don't know what it feels like to be in labor, but it hurts like a bitch, okay? As someone who has gone through it, I was like, give me those damn drugs and give it to me now, okay? What are your thoughts on just like how the healthcare industry is still like, we're still having these issues, number one. And number two, like, are we ever going to get to a place where we're not seeing this, or this is just where we are?
I think this is just where we are. I think some of these stereotypes are just so hardwired that Black people having a higher threshold of pain. That does go back to the days of slavery when they thought that they had to beat us just a little bit harder. Or if you remember the guy, the father of gynecology,
Hmm.
experimenting on enslaved women, that kind of thing, believing and
Right.
not using any sort of
Anesthetic.
anesthetics or
Yeah. And
pain
that myth is
relievers.
still here till this day.
Yeah. And this like concept that we just have a higher threshold of pain and again, that goes back to them saying like, we don't have the same level of humanity because we therefore, because we can't feel the same kind of pain, we therefore cannot have the same level of humanity. And there's so many other historical situations where we're denied the same kind of care in medicine. I remember coming across this German guy, this German author, and basically he wrote a book saying how because Black people in America will eventually go extinct, there's no need to give them health insurance.
My gosh.
So,
Wow.
so he's the reason apparently that we don't have free healthcare in America. Like his
Wow.
book, yeah, because his concept was that like basically Black people would die out anyway. So why give them health insurance? Like you're just delaying the inevitable. And
That's crazy.
mind you, again, this is a German man. This is just before, Nazism and all that kind of stuff. And so there was definitely like a correlation with that. This man came to put these false ideas together. Long story short, the concept that we don't deserve the same kind of care is deeply rooted in racism and a false pseudoscience, that we are just a different level of human and therefore deserve a different level of care if there's any care given at all. So it's so unfortunate that you have to see Black women go through this kind of denial of care
Yeah.
or lack of care.
Yeah. All right. I didn't know if I was going to share this or not because I don't be sharing my business like that, even though this is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be a real podcast and everything, but I tend to hold a lot of things. Like I don't like my business out there like that. But I feel like this is important. I feel like this can help somebody, hopefully. Right. So I have experienced a lot of discrimination in the not a I don't want to say a lot. I've experienced some in the healthcare industry because I live with sickle cell, and there's a huge myth out there that our pain is not real, that we are coming into the ER because we just want drugs and we're just drug seekers and our pain, we're exaggerating it and whatever, right? And till this day, it's still a myth. And I cannot tell you how many other people with sickle cell, like if you line up like 20 of us and you ask us the most common thing that you hear when you walk into an ER, every single person will tell you the same thing that I just said. Every single person. And that is a shame because I have a doctor friend and I talked to her about this and I'm like, and I've talked to a lot of other physicians about this and they're like, yeah, they don't really cover that in med school. There's still really this whole myth about, and I'm like, this myth is still existing and they're still perpetuating this thing that we don't feel pain. And there are many like besides just that one, there are many other situations out there where, we could be with a heart attack or if it's giving birth or whatever it might be. And it's like, we are in 2025 with all of the knowledge and technology and everything that we should not still have this myth going on. It is ridiculous. And people's lives are the ones that are at risk. And I just also want to say that it's not just Black people that have this as well. That's the other myth, that it's only Black people. No, it's not. I've seen white people have it. I've seen Dominicans have it. I've seen the Latino, please stop this myth that it's only Black people that have sickle.
Usually, if you see somebody who's not Black who has it, it's typically because they have an ancestor somewhere down the line who is Black. They probably don't know about it, but then you're able to kind of put two and two together. Although, of course, you don't want to stereotype, but the concept of sort of genetic diseases and things like that, they do help us trace back to certain groups. So I kind of like that concept.
Yes.
However, I will say that sickle cell is very serious because it's your red blood cells taking on a shape that's so wrong,
right,
that it's difficult for them to, one, carry oxygen. That's a huge problem. And two, the red blood cell is so misshapen. It's like little tiny piece of glass flowing through your body. So it's very serious.
So it can cause a lot of issues for people. And I just really wish that we had more, like the healthcare community would really just give us the care that we need, not just for sickle cell patients, but for all Black people, all people of color, and just really give us the like I share this as an example of just like, it's not just, women giving birth. That's like, they don't see it as like it's a medical miracle for a reason. Like, giving birth is a huge thing. You're giving life to another human being. That is a medical thing. That is a life-threatening medical condition as well. But because we see it every day and people are giving birth, and women are giving birth, and we're strong and we're this, and people just, oh, it's just giving birth. And it's like, no, this is a big thing. This is a huge thing. And so having a woman sitting on a wheelchair, crying out in pain, telling you that she's about to give birth, and you as a nurse, and again, I have a lot of nurses in my life, and I know it's not all of them, but there's some amazing nurses that I have met in my life that are wonderful, wonderful people. And then there are some really nasty ass nurses that I've met that I'm like, why are you even here? Why are you a nurse? If you don't like people, why are you in this profession? If you don't have compassion or empathy, why are you in this profession? So I don't want to say it's like, like generalizing and be like, it's the nurses. Like, again, I know some fantastic nurses. I've been taken care of by some really great nurses. I've also cursed out a few nurses in my life. So, get the good and the bad in both. Anyway, I feel like I've been rambling, but that was just what I wanted to say. Do you think that it would ever, like, I don't even know how to ask this question of like, how do we combat situations like this? Like, should she have not left? Should we just like, but then you don't want to be the aggressive Black woman.
I would not want to be that person that they look at me like I'm this aggressive Black woman and my child's life is in your hands.
Right.
I wouldn't feel comfortable.
Right.
I'm like, you're already ignoring me now. Why should I believe you're going to give me the right attention during labor and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Like, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that already. So I can understand having to leave. Like, and again, it's a moment where the hospital and the staff, now they have to check themselves.
Yeah. Like, you have to check. Yeah. I think the hospital needs to check themselves and the culture that they're building. I think that, look, I don't want to cost anybody their job or nothing, but I think that nurse should have been fired and her license should have been revoked.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, the woman gave birth minutes after she left because you didn't take her seriously. Like,
right.
Like a day later, I could be like, okay, but
less than 10 minutes later.
Minutes? Like, you dropped the ball for sure.
Yeah, I think there should be consequences for messing with people's lives. You should have your license revoked, and you should never be allowed to work as a nurse again, because clearly you don't know what you're doing. And now did you hear this? That it's no longer considered a profession?
Yes, certain degrees are being taken away as far
right.
as like losing that status.
Right. And nursing is one of them.
Yeah.
This is wild, man. I don't know. It's just so much happening now. I don't know. Anyway, that's just my PSA. I guess my PSA would be, if you're a doctor, a nurse, or a healthcare professional out there, please listen to your patients. Please listen to their concerns. And I hope that you dispel this idea and this bias that Black people can't feel pain. Because we do. Okay, we feel pain. We hurt. You pinch us, we say ouch. All right? A lot of us might have a higher pain tolerance because we've had to have it, not because we want to, but because we've had to, develop that thick skin, and we've had to build it up because you don't want anybody to know that you're in pain, and I felt that way. I don't want anybody to look at me different. I don't want anybody to think that I'm this, so I've had to hide a lot of my pain over the years, but we feel it. It's there. And so if we're coming to you and we're concerned, you should take us seriously. Like, I'm not waiting 8 hours in the ER because I like being here. I could be doing something else with my time than sit here for 8 hours and you thinking that I'm here to get, because you don't believe me. So do better, medical people, do better. And I tell my medical professional friends all the time, I'm like, y'all need to do better. Okay. So do better. I'm really just praying to get through the next 3 years, because I'm just like, let us just get through this 3 years, because it feels like it's been 4 years already and it's not even been a year yet. And it's just like, thing after thing after thing and after thing, and I'm just like, I've never been so exhausted in my life.
Mhm.
You know, like everything is just so, like, you turn on the news and it's like one bad thing after the other. Like, people are tired, people are exhausted, people are tired, you know, like, you were supposed to help us with healthcare and the price of food and groceries, and now you're telling us that the affordability thing is a hoax from the Democrat. Like, have you gone to a grocery store lately? Have you been out to see how, like, prices are up from rent to gas to food to everything?
I remember, like, at least for me, like, in the way I'm living now, $40 was enough to cover groceries for the week,
Okay.
you know? Now it's
Just for me,
about
I gotta pay like
60.
$200 just
Yeah,
for me,
yeah,
let alone a family.
yeah. It's
Well, again, I don't know how bad it's like, because we didn't like grow up in like the recession or like the war times or anything like that. So I don't know, or like, like the 60s and 70s and 80s and all that. Because I'm sure like things have been bad, but like, I'm like, for like our generation, and it's like things are just, I don't know, things are just really bad. Like, we just have to try and see the bright side of things, because if you kind of let all of that into your head, like, it can be very consuming, you know.
yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense why there's a lot of people dealing with like mental health issues, and because it's a lot, you know. All right, well, thanks everyone for joining us. Please make sure you support us. I've been seeing y'all TikTok comments, okay? I'll put out videos and TikToks, so y'all be getting spicy on those comments. I love it though. I read everything that you guys say. So thank you for your continued support. Please make sure you support us. We are on YouTube. You can hear the full video version on there, and of course the audio version wherever you get your podcasts from. You can listen to us there. But yeah, I'd be seeing y'all in your comments. So I love it though. Just try not to be rude. That's all I ask. Don't be rude. Be nice. I'm very sensitive. Don't say bad things about me. No, I'm just
I'm not
kidding.
gonna
Say
read
whatever you
any of
want.
those comments. I'm not gonna read
Huh?
nothing. I'm not
Huh?
gonna read anything.
Reading the comments, I'm like, okay, there'll be some good ones, but then there's the ones that be like, what's she talking about? I don't like what she said. And I'm like, okay, all right. To each his own. But I appreciate everyone that listens and engages with us. That's what we want. So continue to do that, please. It's very helpful. And yeah, we'll see you all next time.
Next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Foreign Lady.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate, like, and subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast.
Follow us on social media at The Foreign Lady Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
Email us at theforeignladypodcast@gmail.com.
See you next time.